Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move! LeBron James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill, the crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. I'm Robbie, and I'm here with my main man, Nick Engvall. How you doing, man? You excited to talk about some Jordans?
Yeah, man. I'm doing good. Ready to talk. It seems like it's been a while. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Always a great time. It seems like Michael Jordan just owns algorithms, so we could talk about Jordans all day long. We could do topics like this till we're blue in the face, and maybe we will one day. But today we're talking specifically about how we got from like this. We got from, OG, very traditional, 1990s Air Jordans to stuff like this, where it's every color. Now, this one I pulled out in particular because we're talking about non-OG retros of the Air Jordan 5. And this shoe symbolizes all non-OG Air Jordan 5s. Not all of them ever, but a collection of them. So I figured this would be good inspiration to start the conversation. Kind of a rap verse right there. And this is all kind of spurred by the Air Jordan 5 Green Bean retro coming back for the first time since 2006. It's a shoe I've personally always looked at from afar, never owned a pair, something I've always been interested in. One of the rare 3M shoes I think actually look good from a Jordan perspective. So I'm excited about it. Nick, are you a Green Bean fan, or remind the people your thoughts on the Jordan 5. How do you feel about it?
So Jordan 5 is definitely up there for me, except I am very particular about the colorways that I like. There's only probably maybe 5 or 6 that I really, really like. I got the original Green Beans, not right when they came out, but later on, and ended up trading them. I can't remember what I traded them for. I think it was just probably some other random Jordan. But definitely not a top priority for me. Like the colorway wise, I like the 3M. And there's obviously some other, the 5 with 3M, like the OGs, just the 3M tongue is, was a wow factor for me as a kid. So that's kind of what drew me into it. But Yeah, I think you're definitely the bigger Jordan 5 fan of the two of us, obviously, because I feel like you've got a pretty solid collection of them.
I do. And I love that you brought up the tongue, because to me, it's always just felt like a crown, right? I mean, shiny crown. It's silver, not gold. I get that. But something that's regal about it.
Yeah.
And it's not the most easily wearable Air Jordan. The ankle is a little protective. Shout out Gregatron. There is a lot of ankle protection on this model of Air Jordan. And this is carried on right through the 6, and where it's got that really hard kind of pod-like ankle protection. Not for everybody, but to me personally, I love it. The Green Bean 5 in particular, I feel like is one of those shoes that probably got traded a bajillion times, right? That 2006 era, I feel like, was just such a time to be trading, and this like Craigslist, like, you know,
totally
Nike Talk,
totally
places,
Nike
just
Talk,
finding
Soul
random
Collector
things.
forums. Yep, definitely. I'm sure that's where mine went. Also, it's kind of interesting now that you brought that up. 2006, as far as Jordan 5s, was really interesting because it was really the first time we got a bunch of different colorways that were like non-OG colorways, right? So I think for me, like I ended up getting the olives later on down the road, and then ended up giving those to a friend who needed them. But like it was just one of those things where like at that moment, I think there was just so much buzz around the 5, and sneakers wasn't quite as mainstream. So like the shoes definitely didn't sell out right away. Like you could find them in stores if you were like really like searching for shoes back then. You almost could always find stuff in stores at some point or another. Maybe not in like the most popular Foot Locker in your neighborhood, but you could definitely find them. But I never really thought about that. But it's also being that it was kind of the message boards were popping off everywhere, and the internet's starting to connect people on a much better level. Now we take it for granted because you can literally post something on Twitter or Instagram and you can sell it in a minute. It doesn't really matter. But it was a really interesting time, and I think too, like having more colorways of the shoe, because I got the black tongue 5s with the 23. That's my favorite colorway of the 5 all time, and it was like I didn't need other ones other than that one at that moment, right? Like for whatever reason. I mean, that sounds counterintuitive because I probably wish I would have kept a few of those colorways that I had back in the day.
No, I mean, let's start the real conversation around the year 2006, because when the Green Bean dropped, it had some bangers alongside it, but the kind of bangers that we would categorize as that now. But at the time, you would find them, $100 on sale. Like who wants, for example, the Carolina Blue Stitch Air Jordan 5? Kind of looks like the black metallic, but Carolina blue all throughout the stitching. Great looking shoe now, but at the time, it looks Fugazi.
Yep.
Compared to OGs, and people collecting at that time really felt that way more so, I think, than they do now. So you have those, the Green Beans, the Sunset, the women's exclusive, which is this dark cinder, fire red, gorgeous shoe. Gorgeous shoe. And then you have a retro of the Grape, which in my opinion is like the last good retro we've had of the Air Jordan 5 Grape. I sold off. I had a pair of 06s, which I also traded at one point in my life. I also had a pair of the 2013s, but I bought them in 11.5. So I was playing myself, so those had to go. I no longer own them. And then the laceless ones in collaboration with Will Smith just wasn't my style. But Grapes in that same year, the Stealth Blue, which we had a retro of, I believe, late last year or earlier this year. I believe it was late last year.
Yeah.
But the Stealth Blues, again, now we look at that like, oh, that's a great looking colorway. But at the time, who wanted that shit?
Yeah.
Not many people.
Yeah. As far as I remember, too, like the only one, other than the olives, the only one that people really liked out of like the rest of those, because it was like 06, 07, right? Early 07.
Well, no, there's the fire red, which is your favorite, the black tongue, and then the olives, which you brought up earlier, and the burgundies. Those were all in 2006. 1 year.
Yeah, and I think the burgundy was pretty popular, but definitely not as popular as what they would be right now, right? Like, You know, it was still like people were still a little hesitant towards like the non-original colorways, but I'm pretty sure like I don't remember when they actually came out, but I'm pretty sure the laser, like that orange laser 5 came out either end of 06 or early
the Sunset
07.
Army. It's
yeah.
like I want to say it's 07 also.
But it was
it
was
is
before All-Star that year. I just remember for some random reason, but it was like,
damn, you're good. It says here January 2007. So that is
so
before
it was
All-Star.
like the end of the 5s of that, like kind of, I felt, at least for me, it felt like the end of the run of 5s. And like, I wasn't really into the laser stuff. Like I was into the 4s a little bit, but I wasn't into any of the other laser stuff. Now I think it's, I think it's like cool. Like I like the 20, but like I like the idea of having it as just a piece to have versus something to wear in terms of the laser stuff. Cause it just, it's like obnoxious, but if I'm going to wear something obnoxious, like, give me like, the all 3M Raging Bulls or something, right? That's how I feel about it at this point. So.
Man, your memory is good because that was the second to last retro, the laser. The last one was actually the 2007, still before All-Star Game, the black metallic. These bad boys in 07. But with, and this is what I like about the 5, right? So the 07s had the 23 on the back and then the Jumpman on the heel. These have no 23 and Nike Air on the back. The 5 just really lends itself, if you're going to kind of pivot away from 2006. You can do anything from like PSG, right? They can throw their logo on it. It looks great. Quai 54 looks fantastic on it. Motorsport stuff like Jordan Motorsport looks fantastic. I think those are some of the more slept on, yet again, it's collectors covet those kind of shoes. Like, the white metallic with like the lime green, the Quai 54, the yellow Motorsport with the logo on the back heel. There's so much good stuff. Like it looks kind of mechanical, right? So you can have it be associated with other sports. And
yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it too. Mechanical, like the shape of it, maybe not so much, but like the elements of it feel very mechanical. And that's actually why I think, maybe it's just like the story of the little winglets on the side and like the planes and, the kind of paint from the Warhawk, like kind of like the Warhawk 90s and stuff. But that, I feel like that helps with, what is it? Oh, the Fear Pack, right? Kind of an evolution of the olives into like an even crazier, darker kind of like almost like battle ready colorway or something,
And they had that written across the Fear quote. It's like fears are a figment of your, whatever the insole says. It's the MJ quote. They wrote that on the Michael Jordan building. When you walk in, you see that quote there. Yeah. But the Fear Pack, I think is just, that's when people started to really realize that like, oh, this really can be like any kind of material. Cause there was always either like leather, nubuck, obviously the green beans 3M, but like not really pushing it. That Fear stuff, it really wasn't, it's hard. It's one of the harder materials to describe. You have to hold that shoe and touch it. Cause it's like they spray painted over, Durabuck, or they spray painted over.
That's a good way of putting it.
Suede or something. It's a really weird kind of. It's not tacty because it's not sticky.
I feel like it feels like a
weird
custom without being a custom. If that makes sense. But
very, very much so. I just want to touch back on this. The Motorsport. It's like a Carmelo Anthony looking Air Jordan 5. It's white and baby blue. Nothing all that crazy to it, but like with where the branding and the logoing can go on the shoe, all it takes is a basic colorway and a specialized logo right here or a specialized logo right here, and the shoe went from like an okay shoe to like a $5,000 shoe. I think it's where the 5 can really shine.
So how did you feel as a fan of the 5 when they started doing, this is a little bit outside of the norm, but like, I think it was like the China lows that had that like whole end cap was colored. Then they did like an Oregon one that had the whole heel was different color. How did you feel about that as like a fan of the 5?
I am actually, it's one of the few silhouettes where I'm okay with them really toying with what the shoe's DNA is. I mean, like, I think as long as you have the teeth and you have, like, the fighter jet inspired aspects to the shoe, everything else can kind of be played with. Like, the 5 Low isn't my favorite just design. I think it's just like you put, those old school like can crushers. They use can crush to Jordan 5, and it's not my look. But the Oregon stuff, even like the GR1 that doesn't have any of the the fancy bells and whistles on it, I think those look incredibly good. But then you can do it crazy, right? Like if you just put bright candy green suede, like not very many shoes look good in candy, like all candy green like that, and with that material. But the 5 just, I don't know, it lends itself so well. Like there's the Halloween pair from last year. It's not associated with Halloween, but the white, like off-white sail with orange. That they flipped the script on that material, completely different, and I think it came out great. There's also like an army camo one from like 4 or 5 years ago. That's a really weird shoe, but I think that also succeeds. And at the end of the day, it's looking good. But man, I mean, even patent leather. So not to be too weird, but you have like the Cinder from 2009, and then like the USA one from 2011 or 10-ish. That's the only one I think it doesn't work. When you put patent leather all across it, it's like,
I feel like the shoe doesn't like. The shoe has too much curve for patent leather. I feel like patent leather has to be on like a boxier shoe, like a Jordan 1 or a Dunk. Otherwise, I feel like maybe it's just the way I wear my shoes, but I feel like I would just crease them and I just end up not wearing them. But I have to say too, like it's kind of crazy how the Dornbecker had like the glow in the dark 3M, like all the patent kind of stuff. It had everything, right? And when it first came out, it was everywhere and people were crazy after it. But I don't think I've seen anyone talk about or wear a pair of Dornbecker 5s in a good 5 years, if that.
Man, what's crazy, like all of the Dornbeckers that do fetch, I mean, let's be real, a lot of them still do fetch over $1,000. They were just like not all over the place, but you were right. You would see them out. I feel like people just don't wear Dornbeckers anymore. I think they buy them just ceremoniously or ritualistically to support, which is fantastic. But like the 5, I think Dornbecker is one of the more unwearable ones. The same way people love Ben Primo stuff, and the Ben Primo, that's just too much dark black leather on a shoe. Like I think that's kind of in the same vein as the Dornbecker, where it's gorgeous.
Random. So the very maybe it might even be the very first thing I got to do for Foot Locker back then when the Bin 23 5s came out. They released at the Beverly Center in LA, and that House of Hoops had just kind of been. It's a Foot Locker, but a House of Hoops built into it, and it had just kind of been remodeled and super nice, had all sorts of exclusive stuff. They actually did a really good job of making sure that the store had exclusive stuff back then. And I was able to go in and actually shoot photos. I mean, this is pre-sneaker history, so my buddy Aaron and I used to have a site called F5 to Refresh where we just like talked about streetwear and sneakers and cars and just constantly putting up new content. So the whole concept was like, just keep hitting F5, you'll refresh your screen and you'll have new stuff coming up, right? So Foot Locker, we were doing some other stuff with them, or we were in negotiations with them. And part of like the ongoing conversation was like, oh, hey, these are at the House of Hoops Bev Center. If you want to go over and take some photos for us. And I was like, hell yeah, I do. So it was like really the first time I don't know if I got paid for that shoot, but definitely one of the first times I ever got like access to something like that was so early. And I mean, we were like, exclusive to put it out for like a solid like 3-4 days. And it was kind of dope because we never really had that opportunity before, because like the bigger names would always get access to it. But yeah, that was a cool memory. And I was like dumbfounded by how nice those shoes were. I mean, I would never pay, what I think retails like $350 or something. And I probably would never pay $350 for any shoe, let alone, something like that. But it was really nice. That's definitely a cool memory for me.
Wooden wooden shoe trees is what I'm trying to say. A dust bag, and like a wooden box, right?
Yeah.
Like some kind of premium ass, like not your average Joe box. But I think that's what's so damn cool about the Jordan 5 is that it could be anywhere from fucking that Halloween pair I was just talking about that didn't really sell very well, but they sat. I wore mine. I love them. I very much enjoy my pair. But then there's stuff like the Bin 23, the Dornbecker, and I really do think in my heart of hearts, like if I had to like put a gun to my head and be like, Robbie, tell me your top 5 grails. The Tokyo 23, I alluded to it. The Tokyo 23.5, man, just like I'm a sucker for yellow shoes. Like I love black and yellow shoes. But just Tokyo 23 is like that's Tokyo motorsport is motorsport. But isn't this also motorcycles, Tokyo 23?
I don't remember.
Or is it just like a race? I don't remember either. But just that's the shoe where I was working in Vegas on the strip, and every now and again someone would come in, like very rare, or maybe they're just fakes all around. But like that's one of the shoes I've seen a million times in person. And I was like, if there's a time in my life where I can acquire that, the materials are buttery. Like again, it's just a special logo on the back panel, and it's just that sets it off. But just like that's easily a grail.
According to Hypebeast, it commemorates the opening of Jordan Tokyo 23. It's 2011. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, forever ago, right?
Yeah.
But that shoe's so fire. I mean, the materials are good. It's like, ugh. And I mean, the 5, we'll end on this. We talked about the high, the low. There's so many different shapes to the Jordan 5. Sometimes it's more traditional. Sometimes it's a little boxier. That Tokyo 23 one in particular is just not too high, not too low.
So what's your
magic?
Tokyo 23 is probably your grail of the 5s. What's like your most worn pair, and what's like the pair that you just can't stand to see?
Ooh. I can tell you, this is the 3rd pair I've owned of the black metallic. I had 2 pairs of 2011s. Both of those were cooked. This is now the 3rd one. I love this shoe. Like this is probably like one of my,
yeah. Do you prefer the 23 on the side or no?
But I love
Doesn't
even
matter.
just look at. No, well, the 2011s did have the 23.
Yeah,
and they sat way lower. That's what I was talking about heights. They sat about here. And they had, the Jumpman on the back, but this is especially in Vegas, that's where I grew up, and I wore the 2011s the most. In the summertime, it doesn't rain, so you can wear a black shoe like this all winter. And it was my concert shoe for a long time. Very fond memories in the Jordan 5. The only one that really kills me, where I'm just like, absolutely not, and we've talked about this a few times, it's that lab stuff, man. The Gamma, like the 3 Lab 5, it's elephant print with Gamma blue, which it's funny how the motifs, I already know what year it is. It's Gamma blue. It's obviously the 11 and 12 year. But yeah, can't do that. No. How about you though? If you had a grail, which one you can't attain, your most worn
is definitely the black
one you can't do.
With the 23 on the side. 06, I basically wore through those. Ended up like donating them because they were just pretty much done. Back before there was Mario Restores in my life to be able to know that I could fix a shoe up. Probably the grail. I think the black 5s that you have too is a very close second. Like I love the 23 on the side. Any of those, like any good colors with the 23 on the side. So grail wise, definitely the 3M Raging Bulls 23 on the side, all black 3M. That's right up my alley. The one that like I can't stand, and I don't even know if there was other shoes made with this color, but that island green color that had like the weird patent print on it or something, just terrible. Like it's just, I don't remember if that was a kid's colorway or something maybe, but like it stands out in my mind of like, why did they make this kind of thing? So.
Yeah, I mean, there were some dark times in like 2016 because there was like a lot of plasticky, weird. Yeah, let's end on positive notes. The OG stuff is just so good, and I think that's why ultimately Jordan's the most powerful fucking shoe line ever. So it's like, I'll give me that same shoe from 1990 over and over and over again, please. I will take it.
Yeah. Well, so I guess like another question for you. It's kind of interesting that we're seeing a lot of these retro colorways being retroed, or retro plus colorways, or LS colorways, right? Mm-hmm. Any other, like, for me, the one that I still would love to like get again is the olives. Is there another one of those like the green bean that you're like, this is what they should drop next? Oh yeah.
Burgundy, the Kawhi 54, I mean, they just did the Raging Bull. I feel so dumb. I sold my Raging Bulls because I was like, I'm not going to wear these all red 5s. And I wish I didn't do that now. The lasers, honestly, I would wear those. Burgundy and all, man, there's so many. Anything from like 2000. I mean, Laney's are due too. I think Laney's last time were 2013. Well, the last time we saw the Laney's.
Yeah, they did all those
are due.
Like reverse versions. Yeah.
Yeah, I would happily take that.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah, well, let us know what 5s you're after, what your favorite colorways are. I'm really curious what people would think would be like a good retro, because I feel like the burgundy, like I feel like the outside of the OG colorways are a little slow moving, although everything sells out, ends up on a different resale platform. I feel like a lot of those colorways are pretty slow moving. But I feel like that burgundy colorway was kind of like, if you wore them, the suede probably got destroyed and you probably want another pair. But yeah, let us know what you think, what your favorite 5s are and which ones you'd like to see retro, especially the non-OGs, because I think we're all in agreement. Like most of the OG 5s, chef's kiss. Too good.
Can't beat them. This has been fun, though. We'll have to do more of these around when fun retros come out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Joe. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. Make sure you leave us a review if you're on iTunes. Follow us on Spotify. I don't know where else. Whatever you do on those different platforms, everybody takes it in different places. But we appreciate y'all. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Everyone does take it in different places. All right. Have a good one.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.